Okay, hello and good morning, everyone. Welcome to JFD Traders Espresso with me, Darius Anucauskas. Today's the 15th of May 2019, so welcome everyone. Welcome to this Wednesday's afternoon, morning session. We're going to have a look at the markets, a few of the charts, the usual stuff, guys. But before we do that, as always, let's quickly have a read through our risk disclaimer. So, the content we produce does not constitute investment advice or investment recommendation, should not be considered as such, and does not in any way constitute any invitation to acquire any financial instrument or product. As always, a few seconds for you to read the rest, and we can continue. Okay, so let's quickly jump into the charts. Now, the first one I want to touch on here is the DAX. Now, I talked about this one yesterday, and I was telling you guys to keep a close eye on this this upside support line. Of course, this medium-term upside support line taken from the lows of the 27th of December, but also to keep a close eye on this downside resistance line. So this this one right here. So basically, we did have a nice close, just bang on this line yesterday, and of course this now kind of is still, we're still kind of neutral on this one, to be honest, even though it is trying to push away from this medium-term upside support line. Still the kind of the risk off environment is still in the air. We need to see a nice good push further away from this downside resistance line. We need to see a nice good push further, and ideally probably maybe initially a push above the 12,030 zone, which, as you can see, previously acted as a good temporary area of support, and also here back in the beginning of April it acted as a good area of resistance. So if we do see a push above the 12,030 zone, this is great. We could see maybe a bit more upside here, maybe traveling back towards the 12,145 approximately there, marked near the highs of the 10th of May. But again, this is where the price could get held slightly due to this long-term downside resistance line that has been running here from the highs of January 2018. So for now, guys, in terms of the upside, yes, it could potentially maybe travel a little bit higher. The only thing is that for us to get a little bit more comfortable with at least higher levels in the short run, we need to see that push back above the 12,030 zone. If that doesn't happen, if we see a reversal here, still we're not gonna jump into those kind of sells here, because ideally we would like to see a drop below the 11,850 zone here. This way, of course, the next potential kind of target here, the next potential obstacle on the path down could be this 200 EMA here on the 4-hour chart. But if that fails to withhold, a further slide lower could be possible, at least towards the 11,720 or even the 11,615 area, approximately there. So in other words, guys, for now we will remain somewhat neutral on this one and just continue observing some of these key levels that I've just mentioned. Platinum, one of my favorite ones here. Now, as you can see, we haven't looked at this one for quite a while, and basically for now what's happening here is previously I've talked about this level right here in order for us to consider further declines, let's put it that way. A drop below the 841 zone could open the path towards these slightly lower levels. We could then initially target the 835 and then the 821, but as you can see, it kind of never it almost hit the 841, then retraced and traveled higher. What's interesting here is that it seems that, well, it doesn't seem, but actually it is coiling up here, and as you can see, now I do apologize for the amount of lines here, but probably I can get rid of this one right now, and actually I can recycle it. Let's put it, probably this would be much better. So this is what's happening here on the downside. So it's basically, it is creating these higher lows, but it is at the same time it's failing to create some higher highs. Now if we put another line here, this is what's basically happening here. So we are seeing this nice triangle forming here. So for now we're gonna remain neutral. I'm keeping this line here still just for our future reference, just because this is that long-term downside resistance line that has been running from like 2011. So that's why, guys, for now I'm gonna keep it here just for the sake of it, but just for our future reference. But what we're going to focus right now is, of course, on this triangle formation. Basically, if we see a drop through the lower side of it, then this is great news for the bears. We could see a further slide lower here, but to be honest, ideally we're still looking for that confirmation break below the 841 zone before we could get comfortable with slightly lower levels. In terms of the upside, what you could do here is keep a close eye on this little area of potential resistance near the 866 zone, approximately there, which, as you can see, is marked near the highs of the 10th of May and marks the high of the 14th of May. So in other words, a nice good pop above the 866 could lead this pair a little bit higher. It could eventually lead the commodity, sorry, it could lead the commodity above this 200 EMA, and we could then target the 878 zone, the previous one here, or the 886. But for now this is where it is. Let's see if it actually manages to break somewhere here. Well, eventually it should break here somewhere, but again, we will keep an eye on these key levels of resistance and support. Even though we could see a break of one of these sides, still, for better confirmation of the further directional move, we need to see a clear break through one of our key levels, either through the 866 zone on the upside, either through the 841 level on the downside. Very quickly on gold, I talked about this one yesterday as well. So basically, I was telling you guys to keep a close eye on this one because we may see a retracement here, and we may see maybe a drop a little bit lower below this 1296 zone that I had highlighted. For now, we're still kind of are somewhat positive on this one, as long as it remains trading above this downside resistance line that it broke through on the 13th of May. As long as it remains above it, we're gonna still kind of remain somewhat bullish on this one, and we could then see something like this, maybe this one curving up and pushing higher. For those who are more on the cautious side, what you could do is just wait for a nice good break above this 1301 level. This way, the commodity could then potentially could potentially travel towards slightly higher levels, and by higher levels, we do have this 1312 and the 1310 just slightly below there. The 1310 is marked by the high of the 10th of April, so good potential target. But for now, this is where it is. We are gonna stay put for the time being, because, like I said, it may travel a little bit lower, and if it struggles to kind of push below, let's say, this downside resistance line, then yep, we could be seeing maybe the bulls jumping in here again and potentially driving this one higher. But again, I'll repeat myself, for those who are more on the cautious side, you could in a way wait for a nice good clearance here of the 1301 level. So keep your eyes on this one. Jumping into Ripple now. Ripple is having a time of their well, a good time, basically. In other words, it's having a great time, and the bulls are having a great time. And as you can see, that this is what I was talking about yesterday. Now, I do apologize for the slightly squeezed chart, but that's what you get when you have such a pop here. So we did have a small retracement. That's great initially, and then you can see that the crypto traveled further up here, managed to break above this 0.4280 zone, and now it's currently sitting slightly above it. To be honest, this could continue traveling higher, and the next target for us is around the 0.46 level. Just to going to show you what that level was in the past, that was near the highs of the 21st of November, and slightly above that we do have the 0.46 1.4665 zone, approximately there. That's near the highs of the 24th of December. So keep your eyes on this one, guys. Of course, let's not exclude the fact that we may see a small correction again, maybe traveling a little bit lower towards the 0.4290, 0.43 zone, something like that. And if that fails to withhold, if that continues to hold, then yep, that's great, good news for the bulls. We could see another push higher. But if this fails to withhold, as I previously said, then we may see maybe a small correction here to the downside again. But to be honest, if it starts dropping back below the 0.40 level, 0.40 or even actually better, the 0.38 around here, the 0.3840 level, then this is where it could kind of lead towards further declines. We could maybe test even this little short-term upside support line. Now again guys, I do apologize for the slightly squeezed chart here, but basically we may see this one correcting further down. But again, for us to consider such a move back down, we would need to see a drop below the 0.3840 level, approximately there, and then yep, we will target these slightly lower levels. For now, this is of course looking quite bullish. Again, we may see a small correction at some point, but then again, if the bulls are still kind of strong here, then yep, the target for us is right now is around the 0.46 level and 0.4665, so keep your eyes on those. Jumping into AUDNZD, very interesting pair. It broke its upside support line, this tentative upside support line taken from the lows of the 25th of March, and but it's now currently kind of getting held here by this key area of support near the 1.0540 level, approximately there, guys. So as you can see, how previously here back in the beginning of May, on the 5th of May, and also on the around the 30th of April, this level acted as a very strong area of support, and now it's kind of playing the same game. Be very careful with this pair. We may see a further slide lower if we do get kind of disappointing numbers during the Asian morning tomorrow from Australia, and basically if that disappoints, we may see another slide here, eventually breaking the 1.0540, and then maybe even actually traveling further down below the 1.0530. Now this level here for us is that kind of gateway towards lower levels. A break below the 1.0530 could lead the pair slightly lower towards the this little target here, little low of the intraday swing low of the 4th of April, near the 1.0510, and if that fails to withhold, yep, further declines towards the 1.0473 level could be possible, and that level was the lowest point of the 4th of April. So keep your eyes on that. Again, keep your eyes on the 1.0540. That's the initial kind of breaking point for us here, and then for better confirmation is the a drop below the 1.0530 could lead the pair towards the 1.0510 approximately there, guys. In terms of the upside, well, we do, as you can see by the highlighted area here, that's kind of the more of a medium term probably level to watch out for, because if we do see a push back above the 1.0617, this could potentially open the path back towards the this little high here and near the 1.0660, or even actually going further up here. But again, in order to consider this this level here, we need to see kind of a good push back above this yesterday's intraday swing high here, around the 1.0565. This way the pair would place itself back above the 200 EMA, which could be a good sign, and then we could potentially target this 1.0617 level. For now, if I just kind of drag this arrow here, just kind of for our future reference. So this is what we're going to be looking out for. Basically, if we see from the very short-term perspective, of course, if we see a push above the 1.0565, that's great news for the bulls. We could see maybe more upside here. at least towards the 1.0617. But if it starts selling off and we see a drop, like I said, below the 1.0540 and then the 1.0530, now this is where it could turn out to be quite ugly for this pair. So keep your eyes on these levels, guys. USDJPY, very quickly on this one. So very interesting activity. Again, I do apologize for the amount of lines here, but let's actually tidy up this chart a little bit. So basically what's happening here is that after finding good support near the 109.10 level, the pair rebounded and pushed higher, but now it's getting held here strongly by this 109.70 level. So this is basically what we're going to be keeping a close eye on for now. Guys, yep, we need to see that nice good clear break and ideally a close of the 4-hour candle above the 109.70. This way the pair would also travel back above the 21 EMA, which also could be a nice positive sign here, and we could see maybe this one traveling further up here towards the 110.05 or the 110.25, and this is the kind of the stronger area here, stronger potential resistance around the 110.25. In terms of the downside here, probably more of a short-term downside from the shorter term perspective. A drop back below the 109.45 could potentially lead this one back towards the 109 zone, 109.10, or the, like I said, the 109 zone. And if we do see such a move, then we'll just take it from there, see what's happening then, and actually check if it actually wants to travel further down or not. But for now, guys, this is looking somewhat positive, somewhat more positive, but again, we need to see that nice good strong break and a close of the 4-hour candle above this level right here around 109.70. So keep your eyes on this one. And the last pair I wanted to very quickly to touch on, and that's Eurodollar. So basically this one's stuck on the on its upside support line, the short-term tentative upside support line taken from the lows of the 26th of April. For now, we're going to remain somewhat neutral on this one because as you can see by these levels that I've got highlighted, these are the ones that we're keeping a close eye on here. So in order to kind of consider further directional moves, basically if we see a drop below this upside support line, that's good news for the bears. We may see further declines towards this 1.1175, but to be honest, a nice good drop below this level could open the path towards slightly deeper moves lower. So keep your eyes on those. And in terms of the upside, if this upside support line continues to hold, yep, we may see a rebound, especially if we see a push back above this today's pivot, which is around the 1.1218 zone approximately there. If we do see a nice good push above that, then the pair may travel back towards its 200 EMA, or even actually to test this this downside resistance line that I'm still having on my chart here, the one that's taken from the high of the 10th of January. We may see another test of that one, but again, like I said, for us to kind of get more comfortable with higher levels, we need to see that nice good push above the 1.1260 level. So keep your eyes on those. Okay guys, I hope you found it useful. Thank you very much for watching and listening. Thank you very much for sticking around, and if you want to join me later on in my traders tea time, and that's as always 13:15 GMT time. But for now, I hope you have a wonderful trading day, and I'll see you later. Bye bye.